I'm Maureen, married name Beer. Surname originally, my maiden name was Trutzenbach.
Wow.
My father's people came from Germany originally. So at school I was called, because of the wartime and stuff like, and after the war it was still rough in this area and East End in general. They used to call me a German lover and things like that. Kids were spiteful, that's children. And then I had a Dutch mother. So my dad died when I was 6 years old.
Had your parents come over from Germany and Holland during the war?
My mother did.
Sorry, not during the war, before the war.
Yeah, and my father's people did, yeah. But my mother came over, before the war, because she went to school here.
Mm-hmm.
She came over with her grandmother because she lost her parents when she was very small. And she did her schooling here. She had no family when her grandmother died. She had no brothers and sisters. And she met my dad and then we arrived. She brought us up on her own.
Where was your father?
My father died when I was 6 years old.
Oh yes, you said.
Yeah. So, then she met somebody else and they remarried. I had a sister, 10 years younger than me. Unfortunately, she went a few years ago with cancer. So there's only me left of the immediate family. My brothers and sisters have gone now.
Tell me what it was like growing up and with the outbreak of war as well.
Well, I remember the actual, not the actual outbreak of war. I remember the war being, I remember derelict areas, in my mind. And I also remember going into air raid shelters.
So how old were you rough at this time?
Well, I was born at, as I say, 1940. So the war was 39 to 46. I would have been about 3 to 4 to my recollection for me to go back that far. I remember going into air raid shelters, and also I remember Americans, because they was the first to give us chocolate and chewing gum and stuff. So I remember that. And I remember, as I say, things being hard, And then after the war, with the rationing, I remember all that. That is very vivid because I lost the ration books. I was always a bit scatty as a child. And my mother sent me to the shop and I came back, I'd lost the ration books. And that messed things up somewhat. I'd always dream, I'd wander about and turn around and suddenly go into a lamppost, and things like that. So I came back with no ration books.
Do you remember bombs dropping?
Yeah, I do remember a bomb dropping, particularly one Sunday. I was at my grandmother's house in Bow, and we were sitting having Sunday lunch because it was a sit-down thing in those days. It wasn't a tray on the lap in front of the TV because we didn't have it. And all of a sudden, this mighty, you'd hear these like doodle bugs, they'd come across and then they'd stop. I remember those. And then all of a sudden they'd come down and you didn't know where they were going to land. And I remember them landing right at the back of the sort of garden area. And my grandmother kept chickens and geese and stuff like that. And they came down and all the geese and everything got killed.
Did it destroy any buildings at all?
Yeah, it did houses in that vicinity, but we was okay where we were.
That's
but although
lucky.
it was very close, yeah.
Do you remember going into an air raid shelter or?
Yeah, I remember the air raid shelters vividly.
What was that like?
It was very exciting as a child, but I suppose very scary for adults. You know what I mean? Because it was just an escape to a child. Especially as you went down, you got helped and given chocolate and chewing gum and stuff you didn't know about.
And were they always full, the air raid shelters?
Yeah, always full. Yeah. I think the thing that I remember most about that time was the darkness. Everywhere was dark. Because we had to cover all the lights had to be off and stuff like that. I remember that.
Did you you were never evacuated then?
Yes, I was, as it happens, but not very far from here. I only went to Lea Bridge Road. I had a foster mother there. I don't know why, because my brother was sent right to the country. I have no idea why.
Why you were only sent up the road?
Yeah, that's right.
Where the bombs might still drop.
Yeah, just Lea Bridge Road. I often pass the house on the bus when we're coming here. And I don't know, I never did get round to finding out.
What was that like?
The people that I was with were very nice. They had a daughter with the same name as me, and they were churchgoers. I remember Mrs. Friswell was her name, and they used to take me to church. One evening a week they'd do bell ringing, and I used to go with them. And I was there when my dad died. A telegram apparently arrived, and she sat me down and told me that I wasn't old enough really to take it in, because I was 6. But she said my dad died, but I didn't really know my dad, because all those years I hadn't been with my mother. I wasn't with my mother. Obviously had me. There's a big blank there, which my mother's not here to ask, and she would never discuss it when she was alive. So something went wrong. The reason that I was still in London, and my mother had me evacuated. I don't know. I was the oldest of the family. My brother before me had died 9 months old with pneumonia and pleurisy, which was quite common in those days. I was the eldest of, what was left of us, so I don't really know, and I've got nobody to ask and couldn't. My mother would never discuss, where parents are quite open with their children now. In those days, your parents, you was to be seen and not heard.